Hey, welcome back. This is Command Time Podcast with your boy DT and Kayla. Look, today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the 2024 schedule for the Washington Commanders, and we got much OTAs and mini camps to talk about with your boy Jay Daniels, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, Jonathan Allen. This is Command Time Podcast, presented by the Fan Sports Network. Kick back, relax, and we're going to let you enjoy the show.
3, 2, 1, yeah, we ready right now. It's about time. I know it's about time. It's about time.
Welcome back. This is Command Time Podcast presented by the Fan Sports Network. It's your boy DT. We got Caleb in the building. Caleb has some things to take care of, but he will be with us next week as we have an array of guests trying to join us in the summer before we get to training camp. But for now, it is OTA talks. We got mini camps as well. So Caleb, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. The schedule finally released last week. We got to see our boys a little bit today. Media had a little bit more access of them at OTAs. We got a few more press conferences. I'm just excited for this new era, the recalibration. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I like what I've seen so far from the camps. I've seen some of the videos, a couple of clips. I'm just now seeing some of the clips from press conferences. DQ talked today. Bobby Wagner, Jonathan Allen had conversation with the media today, and we'll touch a little bit on that as the show goes along. But I like what I've seen so far from the OTA sessions and how the team is practicing, the new energy we talked about a couple weeks ago, how they're building this team up from the bottom and up. But also, let's also talk about some of the moves they have done outside of the football field, as a lot of guys, as Malcolm Blacken has left, Chris Polians has left, just to name a few, have left the Washington organization, and in comes some people that are well known around from Baltimore. We got people from the Colts, Bears. So getting a lot of people to reshape this front office under Adam Peters, Josh Allen, and with Dan Quinn. So what do you think about those moves so far?
You always, in order for a building to be sturdy, you have to start from the floor raised up. They got through all the scouting from last year. They saw the things that really didn't work out. They're bringing in their guys. You've got to build it from the top. If you want everything to be at standard, you have to make sure you got high quality guys, just not people you know from the league, just not people that you just know that are friends you've worked with, guys with actual experience, also guys who've had success in the NFL as well, from the top all the way down to the coaching staff. So it's really good for us to have a solid front office.
Yeah, most definitely. One name I've seen was Brandon Sosna. Is that how you say his name? Brandon Sosna. He comes from Detroit Lions. He is a person that has dealt with the financials on the business side. So he's coming over here, and team players like Lamar Jackson, just one of the players he has, around that time. So definitely we're getting some guys with some pedigree to come and help Adam Peters reshape the scouting and also the front office people. And I think when you see stuff like that, a lot of people will try to say, the scouting was kind of meh in some aspects, especially some of the misses we had in some of the players. But let's also take account that with those moves that's happened, a lot of these players that were picked and chosen over the past years wasn't really, I would say, in light of some of the people's eye together. Like, everybody didn't have the same mindset. So I think that's where the discord comes. But I think with this regime, everybody's all in on certain players that they have identified to be Washington Commanders. And I don't see that being a problem now. And some of the people that have, join this team. I'm very excited to see what's to come for next year from the scouting department and also from the front offices.
Everyone was going to see how it's with our situation with all our contracts and a lot of the new players, all these 1 year contracts, how that's worked out next summer with these new guys that are brought in. Will they work themselves into another contract, such as a Wagner? Would they extend for him for another 2 years, or maybe a Chin? Maybe if he outperforms, do they bring him back? They can work more in the free agent market a little bit instead of just throwing out crazy contracts to just people who won't be with this team or doesn't fit the scheme. So I'm looking forward to see what they do next offseason as well. And one thing I do want them to work on coming up would be like a Jonathan Allen. I want to see what they do with his contract. I know he seems happy, but that is something they got to think about coming up.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen was also one of the players that spoke today. Um, what do you think about his comments today? Obviously, he had a sour taste from last year, going forward 13, being part of one of the worst defenses in Washington history and NFL history. There were some conversations about him, definitely not being all in for a rebuild. Someone his age, somewhere around 28, 29. Considered one of the best defensive tackles in the league to some, and it's very fluid list. But he comes back today and he has a conversation with the media, and obviously he still stand by what he was saying. But after gaining some thoughts and looking at what the new regime has done, he sees the vision and he's all in. How do you think about Jonathan Allen kind of backtracking on those words? You think that's kind of typical for a player like him to backtrack based on his love for Washington, or you still have some regrets about what he said? And knowing with the financials and where he's at in his career, there's definitely possibilities about trading him away for financial and draft picks.
Yeah, but in that situation with Jonathan Allen, I understand where he was coming from back then, and I understand where he's coming from now. Coming into the NFL, he was so used to winning at Alabama. Then come to this situation. They had that one season where he went off when they went to the play. Well, not really went off, but scratched the surface when they went to the playoffs in that season when the whole NFC East was bad. And then from there, they pretty much not had a good, solid foundation, not a great coaching staff. The players really too much you could tell the players really didn't mesh well together on or off the field at times. So you're a player, you've been to the Pro Bowl, you're very respected in the league. At a point in time, enough is enough. Like, like as a person, like enough is enough. And I think that's where he was feeling at that point in time. The terrible defensive coaching staff, like they didn't really pay attention to the scheme. They play players where they don't excel at. He's been on the team for a while. He's seen it all, and he was at a point where like if nothing, if we don't see a real change, I can go somewhere else and make the same impact like my guy Montez Sweat is making. Even though I don't think him and Chase was as cool, I could I still have a little production. Last year I was battling an injury, but the league still respects me as a player, and I'm not going to keep. I want every player should want a ring at some point in time, no matter how much you love the place. A ring is the ultimate goal. Multiple, but that is very hard to do. But a ring is definitely the ultimate goal. But with how what he said today, I understand that as well because you can tell they paid attention to those things. They basically demolished the whole old coaching staff. They're listening to the players. They're actually not just saying stuff and just expecting the players to do it. They're actually in the paint with the guys. And he said he's coming there. He's always been there early. The good to see the quarterback getting there early as him. You as a former captain, he with his new regime, I honestly think he may even have to. You may be some bigger captains. He may still be a captain, but that C may not be on his chest. But I still think he's going to perform well this season. But I understand what he said that then, and I understand what he said it now. That's how I feel about it. And I think he will have a solid year. Solid year.
Yeah, definitely agree. I'm kind of the same ballpark as you. Knowing the talent that Jonathan has, we've seen him produce, and obviously, him producing in somewhat of a pedestrian defensive scheme under Rivera and Del Rio. It's kind of surprising they were able to get that type of production, but overall, just he's been here since they were called the Redskins. Um,
Yeah,
he's
he's
been
been through
through
it all.
He's been through it all, and so I think for him, it's definitely just frustration. Not only as a local guy because he's from the area and he grew up watching the team, but just as a football player. You've seen how this team has had its ups and had its downs, and there are some moments where they're like, dang, there's some games we definitely should have won either on the offensive side or the defensive side, and just a lot of frustration building up for John Allen being here so long. Just as Deron Payne as well, and Terry McLaurin, just to name guys who, and Jeremy Reed and Tress Way, guys who have been here for the longest period of time. But when it comes to the conversation about trading him and shifting his financials or trading him for draft picks, I think that's in the back of their mind for now.
Yeah, maybe closer to the trade deadline, but next off season, something is definitely going to be done with him.
Yeah, we'll see because it's just
But I think
to
he's
me
going to be very productive this year.
It's very hard for me when you have a guy like Johnny Newton when he's going to be healthy, and we'll see him in training camp. For the talent he has, his skill set is very similar to what Jerome Payne could do. And I've always been, I'm not saying I don't like Jonathan Allen, but for how explosive Deron Payne is, he can be a game wrecker. And you saw that when the money was on the line, he got a career high 11 sacks. And he also fits what Dan Quinn does. Yeah, he also fits what Dan Quinn wants, and Johnny Newton fits what he wants. Not saying Allen doesn't fit, but I just think you're kind of going to be playing the long game there. We'll see how this season goes. Run a course. Definitely John Allen. He's been one of those guys, so I buy into his word that he definitely shifted his mindset. Come this 2024 season. Also, who had a conversation on the podium was Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner is now one of the new leaders on this team, brought in by Dan Quinn, who coached him at Seattle. And he had a lot of words to say about leadership and stuff. And one before I just see on Twitter while we were talking was Jeremy Reeves was joking and playing with him when he was having a conversation.
Presser.
Yeah, he basically said is that enough of the childish games, bro. So that just tells you the mindset that Bobby Wagner brings to Washington, a guy that's going to be working. Enough of the playing the games and stuff. They're trying to build something here, and it's all about business. And Bobby Wagner is about business. So what do you think about the impact that Bobby Wagner will not only have on the linebacker room, which has been a weakness, but just overall on the team? We're talking about a Pro Bowl player, all pro player, one of the best linebackers in this century. Just talk about Bobby Wagner and what he can do for this Washington team.
Yeah, so for me, Bobby Wagner, I say is the second best pickup this off season for me, free agent wise. One, he's just a leader. Everywhere he's just been a leader. That linebacker core is going to be vicious because of him. He can still tackle. His age is nothing but a number. Like if he's healthy, he's healthy. He's out. He produced last year. What's the difference if he's still healthy? I can see if he was injured at the end of the season, but he's still healthy. He's still putting in the work daily. And once you see that's being done in the past with a Jamin, he's been a past. He's had a Mayo out there pretty much not doing too much. He done had a Barton out there not doing too much. It's been a terrible linebacker core the past few years. So with seeing somebody who wants to win, who's willing to work, that's going to make guys want to pay attention and better their game. So I can see Jamin having a solid season with his contract season, and I do also think Bobby would actually help the rookie that he's actually trying to develop as well. Jordan McGee, who's actually with his measurements at the OTAs is pretty solid, different than what I thought he looked like. But
Yeah,
for him to just
definitely was.
to learn behind him, and then a motor guy like a Lubu, who was on the Panthers, high energy, he just wants to attack. That's what this defense is about. Like this linebacker core, I think it's going to be really solid, and we haven't said that in years. In years, it's just been terrible. It's just been terrible. And then if the one is bad, the coaching staff they will have guys that may be developmental guys, but they won't play them for some odd reason. They were just satisfied with being terrible at that position for years.
Yeah,
So I think Wagner is going to be a big impact.
it's very funny how we went from the defensive line being considered one of the best and the deepest to how the linebacker core has completely took a big shift. Um,
You had a
and
John Bostic out there, like this
yeah,
guy.
David Mayo, like that's just offensive by itself. But I think Bobby Wagner's impact on the team is definitely going to be bigger than, no offense, what Thomas Davis has done, because when Thomas Davis was here,
I
he
think
was
that was a relationship hire. Like I don't think that was a scheme fit. He was still a solid linebacker, but not at that time, not for our
Thomas
team.
Davis
He
was
didn't even play. He didn't even play.
that,
He run one.
Thomas,
That was a Ron guy.
Thomas Davis
That was a Ron
was
guy.
Udonis Haslam. He was Udonis Haslam of football. He was the guy going to cheer you on. He contributed nothing. Bobby Wagner in what, year 10 to 12, where how long he's been in the league, definitely 10 plus years. He still has it. He led with 183 tackles. So it's a night and day difference. But I think the leadership is what is very drastic and needed for his team, for a lot of the young guys we have, like a Jamin Davis, Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin. These guys watched him play when they were kids, and now they get to play with a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. And you also have guys like, even add Zach Ertz, who have produced in this league, to be with a Ben Sinnott, a John Bates, and even other guys. Like you have guys at certain spots that will be leaders for this team. Austin Eckler as well. Austin Eckler has been in the league, has produced, and to be in the running back room with a Chris Rodriguez and some of the undrafted guys, and overall for the offense as well, for the nucleus of young players they have, and to guide the vision that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn have for the Commanders this year and beyond. So I'm definitely hyped about that as well. So let's go ahead and talk about this 2024 schedule. I think this is what everybody's been looking at. So I'm just going ahead and pull it up right here. Oh, don't have it right here. I did have it, but so Kayla, what do you think about the schedule when it dropped?
I think I was pretty satisfied. They didn't hammer us too hard. But the only thing I didn't like about the schedule, two things I didn't like. I would have liked the Bears game to be a primetime game, whether that be at that in the 4 o'clock slot or the primetime night game, or on a Sunday night. And then another thing I didn't like, they gave us another late bye week. Like after the past few seasons, we've been getting hit hard with the bye week being late. We got a bye week in week 14, and I do think it should have been a little bit sooner, definitely with this team as well.
So I hear on that, but the main reason why I'm not mad about the bye week being late is because when we play the Eagles, you get 10 days off to play Dallas. So that's somewhat of a mini bye to gather yourselves. But the only problem is you're playing right after you play Pittsburgh, then you go to Philadelphia. But you didn't get 10 days off to play Dallas, and you play Tennessee, then you have your bye week. So I do agree. I do feel like the Bears game, I feel like they kind of dropped the ball in the Bears game, man. That Bears game, that should have been, to me, either 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about preseason, obviously. So preseason, we're playing the Jets, playing the Miami game will be a joint practice. I believe it's one day, right?
One day in Miami. One day in Miami.
And then we have a nationally primetime preseason game, week 3 at home versus the Patriots.
I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of Drake May in that game.
I mean, to be honest with you, if we wanted to see a matchup with number 2 and 3, I think they should have done that week 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not really mad about it. It still has a chance for everybody to see what both these organizations do.
Oh, I was thinking Drake May versus Sam Hartman, but
Well, don't forget the young buck over there,
Joe Milton.
Milton over there as well at quarterback. So we might see a little bit more Milton than
And
Drake
then,
May, to be honest.
well, that is something I'm gonna keep my eye on.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the schedule. So week 1, we are going to be playing at Tampa Bay. Definitely a matchup of playing against Baker Mayfield and the high power offense, although they will be having a new play caller at the helm. The Buccaneers, the past couple of years, have won and came out of the NFC South under Todd Bowles. And we know with Todd Bowles, his highly aggressive defensive background, he's going to bring pressure. And this is going to be a great test for Dan Quinn and his defense, and also Jaden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury against Todd Bowles. So,
Because I do think that defense blitzes a lot, and I think that would be a good test for Jaden in week 1. And I also think one position that a lot of people are worried about is going to be put to the test early in the season, which would be cornerback position. A lot of our fan bases still have some questions about that position with the Bucks wide receivers. I think that'd be a good measuring stick early on. Even though even if we don't win, it'd be a good measuring stick to see if they don't get as many yards, if it's not as many minor like penalties. You do know one of our corners do like to penalize a lot. Just the small things I want to see in that game. I want to see against those receivers.
yeah, definitely the matchup of our secondary versus wide receivers, and also the Bucks defensive line against our offensive line will definitely be put to test. That is week 1 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Fox, 4:00, 4:25. Week 2, we're back. We are home for our home opener, and we get to play the New York Giants as they come into Commanders Field and take on the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, for that game, like with all these games, I'm not going to give my prediction. I'm just going to break down each game. I'm not going to give my prediction this early. But for that game, with the Giants. That's a team we need to beat. We say that every single season. It just hasn't happened. So that's a game I'm just going to have to wait and see. I believe we have what it takes to get it done. I just gotta wait to see what has to happen. I do know they do still. I do like that corner they do have. I want to see how he responds again against a Jahan who will be having a better season. Even though it's early, a Banks versus Jahan, I would like to see what their wide receiver can do. You never know with the Giants. The special teams may do have a crazy play against us. That's the game I just gotta wait and see. I do think we have a better talented roster than them and a better coaching staff, but that's just a game. I just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. We know the Giants have been getting our number the past couple of years,
And then
despite
Thibodeau has good games against us. They added Burns and that pass rush. It's always something with them. So I'm gonna just wait and see what that game.
yeah, we know with the Giants they have gotten us the past couple of years, despite how much talent we have, more than they have. But I'm with you. I'm a little bit more optimistic with the new coaching staff and what the players we have, but it's still a divisional game, and it's actually good to get them week 2, get them early, and have a chance to, get a division.
On our offense. So I do like our coaching staff and our team. That's just one team, but I just gotta wait and see because especially it could be a crazy penalty that decides the game. It could be a special teams play that decides that type of game. So I'm gonna just wait and see. But I do like our chances.
Also, I mean, the obvious bigger question is which quarterback is going to be playing for the
So, yeah,
Giants? Are we going to get Drew Lock, or we're going to get Daniel Jones?
that's also a big question with them. But I do think they did improve their offensive line over the how they meshed well together. That's a different thing. But I do think
Yeah,
they
I agree to that. Yeah.
improve their offensive line, especially the interior.
Yeah. All right. Week 3. This is part of the Monday night doubleheaders, and we get the late action as Jaden Daniels gets to play against one of his high brothers as they play Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. We're playing Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football prime time. So definitely this is an eye popper right here. You get to see two quarterbacks both from the same colleges. Get to play together. Both won the Heisman their final year of college, and the last time we played Joe Burrow, not he tore his ACL, so it's definitely probably something he kind of marked on his calendar to play the team. But this is going to be a tough matchup. This is one of the best AFC teams over there in that conference. And you see when they're healthy, Joe Burrow is very surgical. Jamar Chase is very dynamic. T. Higgins is dynamic.
They got Burton. I think he's going to be a solid.
Jermaine Burton. I'm questioning the running backs a little bit, but that's only because we don't have as much knowledge as we used to know about Jermaine. But Mixon. But we'll see. Their defense, they always find a way to get pressure and get stops. So this is going to be a great test on national.
To that offensive line as well. Protect Joe. Yeah, for this game, I just think this game is going to be a first splash of our offense, like putting up a lot. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm not saying we're going to win at all, but I do think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Jaden's going to try. I think he may have this circled as well, show that he may be the best LSU quarterback to come out of LSU. You never know, but I do think he's going to try to perform well against this quarterback. Let the NFL know he's not scared of a big time quarterback. I do think it's going to come down to coaching in this game, and I do think that the Bengals, they have a solid team. One thing I can say is shaky with them. I'm not too sold on their secondary, just like with us. So I think that's going to be an impact in this game. But it's going to be a solid game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah, okay. Week 4 will be in Arizona as Cliff Kingsbury returns to Arizona to play against his former quarterback and his former team in the Arizona Cardinals. So how you think about this game? Week 1, we played them last year. We got away by the skins of our teeth.
Yeah.
And I think this team is going to be a little bit better than what people give credit for, especially with Kyler Murray quarterback.
Yeah, with this game, I'm not going to give my win-loss prediction yet, but I do like our matchup against this team. I do think I want to see who covers Marvin Harrison, but I do think this team it's a sneaky solid team. They got a good coach. You can tell the culture is different in that building. They have young guys willing to learn. It's all about Kyler Murray. That's the biggest question mark to me still is Kyler. He's a good quarterback, but I still have questions about Kyler Murray, like elevating that team since his injury. So that's my biggest question. I do think their defense is young still. I still think they still have some holes to fill in that defense on the defensive side. But I do think we have I think we can beat this team.
Yeah, I'm not doing the win-loss record, but it's a flip game to me. It's one of those flip games where you come in, they can beat us, and it could be the opposite end. We could beat them. Kyler Murray did not play last year against us. It was Joshua Dobbs, but it was also a bad defense we had, to be honest with you, and we won by the skin of our teeth. Definitely going to be better coached, so I think it's going to be on the players and see who comes out on top in this matchup. Next game is we're going to be back at home, and we're going to be playing the Cleveland Browns. This game looks to me like we're going to be trying to get revenge for the Carson Wentz starting because Ron Rivera didn't want to go to the Taylor Heineke game.
Yeah.
We're going to try to get some revenge for this game. We played them at 1 o'clock.
Yes, with this Browns game, the Browns, that's a team that's physical as well. We're a team that's trying to be physical. That's something they preached about. This Browns defense, they are physical, and they don't play as good on the road as they do at home. Defensively, yes, they don't do as well, but they still got some dogs in that defensive line. Myles Garrett to get you. They got a solid linebacker, young linebacker core as well. They added more weapons for Deshaun, but my question mark with them will be Deshaun Watson and also that offensive line. I know they do got some tackles over there, but it's all on coaching because it wasn't as good before Bill Callahan got there, and he did shore up some things. I want to see if they retain anything, But I think it's going to be a good game, just physical game. I don't think it's going to be as many points scored. I just think it's going to be a solid game.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. We'll see. Can he finally live up to that contract? I mean, he had really spurts of good play, but then overall it's been kind of meh. Nick Chubb had that crazy injury last year. How he looked in the first couple of months. This defense, I know how talented they are. They look good at home, but when there are certain road games, they're on the road, they were giving up 30 plus points. And the last time I saw them, they were getting destroyed by the Houston Texans. So, what type of defense are we going to be getting when they come to Washington? That's going to be the biggest question. And now, I think this is going to be my favorite matchup, non NFC matchup, and that is the Battle of the Beltway.
Beltways.
Uh, Jada Daniels versus Lamar Jackson. I think this game should have been like 4 o'clock too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But this definitely is. I think about this game. I think about it not only because of the quarterback matchup, but for the two areas.
The market.
The market, the demographics, um, the African Americans. This is something that we're going to be rooting for. We see two young quarterbacks. One a two-time
A lot of money off that game.
one two-time MVP and Heisman Trophy winner, and the second overall pick and Heisman Trophy winner playing against each other on the same field.
Yeah, well, this game is going to be a tough one as well. I think that is one of the best divisions in the NFL, and we're still building. So at some point, I do believe over time we'll start to like not take over, but we will be more competitive with the. We're still going to be competitive, but I think it's going to be a better matchup down the road with these type of teams. I still think it's going to be a good game. I do think this game, like Jaden, may make some mistakes. Trying to do a little bit too much. I think it's going to be a mental aspect in this game. With Baltimore, they still have a lot of turnover that occurred, but they still have a good team, starting with the quarterback. I think their offensive line they removed players, but I think they did have solid replacements for the players that were removed. They still got Stanley on that line. Voorhees is coming back. They picked up another tackle in the draft as well. And then another thing they'll have a balanced running attack. I want to see how we do. Our run defense handles Derrick Henry, and then they don't just use Derrick Henry. They have a multitude of backs that they do use often, even if it's not the main cow. And then that tight end, I want to see how we cover their tight end room because they have solid tight ends as like three good tight ends. They got Kolar, they got Likely who scratched the surface this year. I think he will have even better year than last year. I like Likely a lot in that tight end run. I want to see how we do against their tight ends, and of course, Mark Andrews. He's always Mr. Reliable for Lamar. He's hard to take down. So I do think this game we may struggle like fundamentally, but I do think it's going to be a solid game, competitive.
All right. Next matchup, we will be back at home 4 o'clock as the Carolina Panthers come to Washington. California mates, Bryce Young and Jay Daniels have a great relationship being both from California. We look to see Bryce Young in year two hopefully improve with Dave Kavanaugh as his head coach and some of the weapons they added to help him out. This is one of those games. It's like, okay, we're kind of in that ballpark, and like we can win, but we can also lose as well.
And this is a coin flip for me as well. It's going to be who wants it more. So at this point last year, the problem with Bryce Young was offensive line. We did our coaching staff. They did the same. So not too many people's going to be familiar with their offense early on, just like with us. People going to have to work out the kinks, see what our offense really is early on. I think they're going to have to do that as well. And another problem Carolina also had last year was they didn't have enough weapons for Bryce. They did bring in a few weapons, but I don't think they worked well or meshed with Bryce. They still have Thielen around, who's still a reliable vet. They added Deontay Johnson. They added Xavier Legette, and then they still got that rookie from last year as well. I think who's going to end up having a solid season with them as well. So that he has his weapons. It's how will it come together? Is he a leader of men? Will he not make the mental mistakes that he made last year, even though his line was bad? I want to see the growth, but I do think that the same questions I have for them, In this game, I'll have for us, we're still a young team as well. Will those mental mistakes affect Jaden the same way they may affect Bryce? That defense lost some pieces, but they still a solid defense. They still solid coach on the defensive side of the ball. That's what I'm gonna look at. So I'm saying this is like a coin flip game for me as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Next matchup. The theme here is returning. So Caleb Williams and Montez Sweat return back to the DMV as Jada Daniels and Caleb Williams, the number one pick versus the number two pick. They both meet again. This is for the third time. Again, we will be playing the Chicago Bears, but the Chicago Bears team, the roster is way better than before. Wide receiver core looks legit. Offensive line has some improvements. The defense, when they got Montez Sweat, went from one of the worst to a top 10 defense the second half of the year. This is definitely going to be a test for Washington. I still think, in some ways down the line, the coaching will help, but we'll see. Because the pressure will not only be on Jada Daniels, but definitely be on Caleb Williams, because the expectation is you're supposed to be better than Justin Fields or what you have been.
Okay, yeah, with this matchup, it's going to be. I think it's going to pull your popcorn out. I think it's going to be a lot of. It's going to be a back and forth matchup. I do think Chicago's secondary is solid. I do think they do have weapons, but it's all how Caleb puts it together. It's all on the head coach. I still have questions about their head coach. And with us, do we have the pedigree to go in there? Last season, they came and took over our trap. Do we have the pedigree to go in there, play physical, go in there all 4 quarters, just ball out against this young team as well as they're also young, and show that we got the same grit as y'all. So I think it's going to be a good game. Pull your popcorn out. Jaden's better versus Caleb's better. We going to find out at Commanders Field.
All right. The next game will be on the road as we finish our seasonal matchup with the New York Giants. And I'm going to probably pencil it right here. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a game they're going to have their throwbacks on. Waiting for you to comment on the throwback because I don't like it. Me personally, they should just have red pants. The brown pants falls it off.
It looks a full Brian. Malik neighbors don't even like it. Your number one pick. You can't even put that on with it. Like y'all could have had some black pants, some red pants, y'all that gold, and then the makes.
I think red should have been better.
Is the socks like you don't have to add the socks over the pants like that? They make it look even more tacky. But I hope this is not the game we had to watch those uniforms. But back to in this game, I do think it's going to be a little bit. I think the first game it may be a little bit more penalties involved. I think this game will both be in our groove, either good or bad at this point in time. I still think it's still a wait and see with the Giants, but I do think it'll be a better game than the first matchup, both sides. This may be a point in time the quarterback switch with the Giants. You never know. Brian Burns versus Luvu. Who provides the most pressure?
All right, so now we head to probably the toughest stretch on the schedule. Let's start off with a home game, November 10th against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know the Steelers are always well coached under Mike Tomlin. Out with Kenny Pickett, who's got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, enters Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. To me, I'm expecting to see Russell in this game, but I'm pretty sure a lot of Steelers fans would prefer to see Justin Fields based on the youth and the talent and where he had in his career. But Steelers, tough game. Fans travel extremely well. We saw that last year with a team like the Buffalo Bills. It's home game, very close, mid-East matchup. How do you feel about playing the Steelers?
Yeah, just like the Browns, I think this game would be won in the trenches. This is a game I think Brian Robinson may show a little bit more. I think you may see a C-Rod touchdown in this game. It's one of the trenches because the Steelers, they always have had solid defensive lines and solid offensive lines. I think this game is going to be won in the trenches in time of possession. Because I think both teams are. We have to wait to see on the field, but I do think both teams are well coached. But I do think it's going to become to like a like a time of possession type of thing, but I do think it's gonna be run. This game is gonna be won on the ground.
Yeah, got you.
With takeaways.
The next game right after that, 3 to 4 days later, we'll be playing our second and only primetime game until something is subject to change. Will be the Philadelphia Eagles on Amazon, heading to Philadelphia. Always a tough game. Jaden's first game in the link. Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts. Dan Quinn versus Nick Sirianni. Definitely, this is probably, if there's a chance to win some games, I'm definitely penciling this game because we lost to the Eagles twice by a margin of 10 points, and that was a 7-point loss and a 3-point loss. We had them despite having a bad defense. But this is a new look.
Like a drop away in one of those games. Yeah. A drop away.
But this is a new look Eagles team in terms of how they address their secondary. They signed Saquon Barkley. They're trying to put all the chips in because, in my opinion, that window is about to close pretty soon. How do you think about Washington heading to this game after playing the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, so with this game, I do think this matchup will be a hard-fought matchup. I think we may get overtime in this game. I do think this is a game we may need to win. If we do, I'm not saying that now or not, but I do think this is a one pivotal game in the season. Another divisional rival. The past they had our number last year. I think the year before we surprised them when they was undefeated. Then they got us. I do think their linebacker core needs some improvements. And then also another question I have for Philly, just like with us, they got a new offensive coordinator as well. How will that mesh out? But one thing I can say in the past, that is a balanced offense. They will attack in the run and through the air. They do still have those two dominant receivers. They still got Dallas Goedert, so they still will eat you up. So you got to be disciplined against this team, and you have to score points, 7 points, and not 3 points against this team.
Yeah. I see your point. And right after that, we get 10 days off and we play the Dallas Cowboys at home. 10 days off to play the Dallas Cowboys. I believe that's also way before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. So this is obviously first time Dan Quinn gets to play against his former team. Joe Witt gets to play against his former team.
A few of the players.
Yeah, and Dallas, a lot of questions about Dallas this offseason. They haven't really put their chips in as they said they were going to do. How do you think about playing Dak Prescott at home with Dan Quinn and Joe Witt as DC?
Yeah, so this game, if we don't take the Eagles game, I think this game is even more pivotal. But if we do take the Eagles game, I do think this game would have been well rested. I do think if there has been any hiccups, a few guys may come back this week. I do think that we are a better team at this moment than Dallas, but it all depends is this the point in the season where Dallas people think that things may start blowing up. You may hear the Mike McCarthy may be gone rumors. It may be they just lack discipline. So I think if we play a solid disciplined game, I think this will be another good game. I think it's going to be hard fought all 4 quarters. I think if we play discipline, the depth with the Dallas receivers is not there. They're working with a new center. We can tell the defensive line is shaky right now. They got Micah Parsons, of course, it's a dog. Secondary, you got Diggs coming back. Bland, he's had a solid season. He built off of that. But I do think this is going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, this is one of those games, obviously, with the rivalry. I hope it is renewed with the coaching staff and some of the things they have done. I'm also very excited because this is the first time we played them. And obviously the conversation is going to be Dan Quinn playing against his former team. And who knows as much about, Dak Prescott and them in offense than Dan Quinn and Joe Witt. So he knows their tendencies, what they can do, what they don't like to do. So we'll see how they Big
Zeke might even play in center at that point in time.
Oh my God, that's nasty. Nasty. After that, we get one more home game for our bye week. This is the Tennessee Titans. This is one of the extra games that we got since we installed the 17 game schedule, I believe. So, yeah, so we're playing Tennessee Titans since they were in last place in their division.
Yeah, with this Tennessee game, they've actually had a solid offseason as well. They're trying to build to see if Will Levis is the guy. They're trying to build a team, a young team, providing him with some weapons. Their defense, they lost some pieces, but they replaced them with some young studs in the draft. I like that what they've added to the defense in the draft as well. They've added like Calvin Ridley's over there. They still got that running back duo with Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. I think he scratches the surface this season with less of the big Derrick Henry in front of him. I think Tajay Spears has a breakout year. So this is another team they make that might catch us. They got a new offense. You know their offensive line is going to be solid because they're the coach, and then also who they picked up, J.C. Latham. They've also already in the past had a solid offensive line, so if that even gets even better, that's a game I want to see. If we can beat that team, I think they're kind of we got more talent than but in them, but I think we probably in the same kind of boat. Like we're in the same boat. We'll be in the same boat with them. So I think that'll be an interesting game as well.
I do like some of the additions they made to build around Will
They,
Levis, but
they
no,
picked up
obviously the question for them is very similar with us is offensive line. How would their offensive line hold up for the season? They didn't really address that after Taylor Lewan retired. So we'll see. So you got the bye week, and then we got the LSU kid heading back to the Bayou for a homecoming as he goes and plays the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, so I'm gonna be at this game, so
Of course,
I'm expecting fireworks. I'm expecting fireworks. The Saints. I still think Derek Carr is a solid quarterback, but I don't know if he's the quarterback for that system. They did pick up another quarterback later in the draft that they're trying to groom behind Derek Carr. I'm expecting Olave to have a breakout season as well. Kamara, they're supposed to have a new offensive coordinator. So they've always had a good defense. They've added pass rush, which has been their problem. They did add the pass rusher, and we're going to see Chase again. He's not going to provide too much, but that is a part of this game as well. But I'm expecting fireworks, high scoring. I'm expecting fireworks.
I'm not expecting fireworks.
I'm expecting them because I'm going to be there. So that's why.
He struggles in the red zone. That's why I said I ain't expecting no fireworks. But it's definitely I love the aura for this game. I always love playing New Orleans, and last time we had a rookie quarterback, it was RG3. He put on the show, so it'll be very nice and reminiscent for Jada Daniels to come back home and put on a show. Also, if I'm not mistaken, RG3 had family from Louisiana, so
Yeah.
that was.
But I was talking about fireworks from us, not from them, but fireworks from us.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe like one of our highest scoring games of the season type fireworks, but they still got Marshawn Lattimore. But I don't know how happy he is. You know, with players, if they're not as happy, their production they'll still be solid, but you can tell they're like they're ready. It's time for them to go. So I want to see how he performs in that game as well.
All right, time. Let's try to finish this up. The last 3 games on the schedule, 3 days before Christmas, we're back at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Depending on how the first matchup goes, we always play the Eagles tough. So this is probably in that playoff stretch where we have to win these key games to get us in the playoffs, or just win these games to help build the culture and camaraderie of the team.
Yep, I think you pretty much summed up this game. Depending on how that first game is varies how much we need this game. But I'm expecting us to be focused in this game, play hard. Even though it's the end of the season, no matter the playoff push, I'm expecting them to play hard, finish strong, finish healthy. We never know what's going to happen in Philadelphia, just like with the Giants. But even though we really don't know what's going to happen in New York, but sometimes things happen in Philly. You never know. They may be on a high, and you never know. There may be a game they slip up because they've been winning several games. You just never know. Moving on to the next game.
All right, next game. This depending on how they see it. Hopefully, to me, I hope this is a Saturday game, but playing Kirk Cousins and Atlanta Falcons as they head to DC. Kirk returns to DC one again. Last time he came, we lost to them by 3 points. I was at that game when they played the Vikings, and I was so disappointed in that fourth quarter. So hopefully, this game we can get back against the Falcons. Well, we beat the Falcons, but against Kirk Cousins, I would say.
Yeah, for me, I think this may be a game that Atlanta with that division. I think they may have won that division, and I think this is a game they may rest their starters, and we may see a Penix. So if that occurs, that would be a solid matchup with the Kyle Pitts. He has yet to really he scratched the surface a little bit, but I think this year is the year he takes off.
Hold on, wait a minute. You think they're going to clinch the division 1 week before the last week? In a division, they average 8 to 9 wins.
You never know. Kirk. You never know. I said May. That's why I said May. I never said what happened. I said May. And so they got the option to see what they got, and they got to see what they got in him. So you never know. Either this week or the last week, Penix is going to play a game, I think. But yeah, I think it's going to be another a good game. I think it may not be as high scoring as we may like. It's the end of the season. Some players may be resting up, but I do think it's going to be a good game.
Okay, final game of the schedule. We're in the Big D as we play the Dallas Cowboys on the road to end the 2024 season. And last time we played in Dallas, it was not pretty. Got blown on Thanksgiving, and that taste is going to be.
The ham was not. And with this game, it's the last game of the season. We may see, depending on if we are playoffs or not, we still may see if we're not in the playoff push at this point. I want to see our guys still end the season off strong, try to get everything they got into this game, even if the Dallas may or may not be. I still want us to fight all 4 quarters if we're not in that playoff hunt. If we are in the playoff hunt, I just want us to go out there and ball out from first quarter to fourth quarter, show them who runs this division. Even though we're not winning the division, but just make an impact in the season. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I always love playing in Dallas. Dallas is one of my favorite stadiums to play in because of the rivalry, because of the aesthetics, the jerseys we wear, whether we wear white on white or we wear burgundy on white. Jaden Daniels' first game in Dallas against that fan base, against that defense, and Dan Quinn returning back to Dallas to play against Dak Prescott in that offense. Never know what the stakes will hold for this game. Could be playoff, or we could be playing spoiler. But all in all, it's a rivalry against the Dallas Cowboys, and that's how we're going to end the 2024 season. And that's all we have for y'all for the schedule-wise. We're not going to give no predictions until probably maybe after training camp when we look at the team, how we think. But overall, this is what we have for y'all tonight. Definitely talk about schedule. To me, it's not the hardest schedule, but it's definitely some matchups of like, okay, we can finally truly see where we are at as a team, even though we're in year one of Dan.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the schedule all in all. I would have liked that primetime game. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at KPal0922. You can also follow DT at D Cleveland Jr. You can tap into his podcast, Into House Podcast. Tap into Red Zone of the Lab as well on YouTube. Fans First Sports Network on YouTube as well. And never forget, it's never the Eagles' time. Never the Giants' time. And it's most definitely never, ever the Cowboys' time. But it's always command time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for y'all tonight. We will be seeing y'all next week around this time as we get ready for more Washington Commanders content, more guests coming on the show, and much more discussion for the 2024 season with your Washington Commanders. It's your boy TT. Caleb Powell on the show. Caleb out doing some things, but he'll be back next week. This is Command Time Podcast with Kayla, DT, and Caleb. Presented by
Let's go Minnesota.
You said what?
Let's go Minnesota. That's it.
Oh, you're talking about basketball on a football podcast. That's very disgusting. But we'll see you guys next week as we get ready for this season. Y'all have a great night.
You do the same.
Got me feeling so free, free.